What is the future of touring? With some iconic tours for their genres wrapping up this year and some incredible tours firing up next year, I want to know if these are the future of touring. What's up? Welcome back to the Metalhead Car Show. We've just had some tours wrap up this year, and there's some incredible tours happening next year that make me ask the question of what is the future of touring? In no way do I think touring is going anywhere. I think it's here to stay forever, but I do think there are some particular formats of touring in which might do better than others. So we're not going to dawdle, we're going to get right into it. The first one I'm going to look at is the hybrid tour. Now, I kind of got inspired to talk about this from the Iron Maiden Future Past tour. On the Future Past tour, Iron Maiden looked at their Senjutsu album and their Somewhere in Time album. They played some other songs kind of within those, some of the essentials and the hits, and some actually obscure songs they don't play very often, but primarily the focus was Somewhere in Time and Senjutsu. Now, they're not the first band to do this. Manowar did this in 2014 looking at their Kings of Metal album and their Gods of War album. Overkill did this in 2018 primarily looking at their Horoscope album and their Fuel of Fire album. Green Day is kind of doing this right now on their Dookie and American Idiot album, and Judas Priest is actually doing this next year on their current album Invincible Shield and their iconic Painkiller. I think the beauty of these tours is if you're an older band, you get to go back to one of these iconic albums and play songs that A, you haven't played for a long time, a lot of your newer fans have likely never heard, along with covering a lot of the hits from that album, along with still playing your new album and still getting that on the road and into the ears of everyone who's coming to see the show. But the new album's also kind of getting promoted by the older album. Some people might complain by doing a hybrid tour that you don't get to hear song X, Y, or Z, but you're still going to get to hear a lot of songs you either haven't heard live or you want to hear live. Of all the bands I mentioned, I think Green Day's kind of doing it the best. Like, you're getting the full Dookie and full American Idiot album, but also you're getting a couple songs trickled in there, along with Time of Your Life being the closing song, which is kind of their closing song for shows. I like how Iron Maiden did it, doing the 5 Senjutsu, 5 Somewhere in Time, as in bands like Manowar and Overkill only did like 3 or 4 songs each, despite Overkill did a show just playing the 2 full albums. I think we're going to see more bands do this. I don't think the hybrid tour is going anywhere, but I think it's going to be more geared towards older bands. Not that any of the pop or rap artists can do this, but I think with a lot of the older bands, which isn't exclusive towards metal, but with the older bands, it'd be a great way for the band to go play a new album whilst using the old album to get people in. The next one, and a lot of subscribers in the channel might not like the fact I'm talking about this, but this is my channel, I'll talk about whatever I want, and that is the Eras Tour. Now, the concept of the Eras Tour wasn't invented by Taylor Swift, but Taylor Swift is definitely the one that made it famous. Now, if I get anything wrong, I apologize, but the overall concept of the show, to the best of my knowledge, was there were songs picked from the bulk of her albums, but it wasn't kind of scattered through the set. She was focusing on primarily one album at a time as she was going through this tour, whilst, I believe, telling a story as she was going through the show. Now again, I'm fully aware that a lot of people who follow this channel are not into her, but if I were to go get her set list, which looks like this, and convert it to Iron Maiden, for example, this is what it would look like. Not just that, a 45-song set list, which is impressive no matter who you are, but you get to hear everything. Now, another band who's actually doing this right now is actually Fall Out Boy, and the tour, I believe, is called Days of Fall Out Boy Past, or Days of Fall Out Past, and they're doing it in the exact same way of focusing on one album at a time, going through the bulk of their discography. Now, I do love this idea. I think this is an awesome idea. No matter who's doing it, it's going to hit every single marker their fans are going to love. But I do think this could be something that's more geared towards the pop, rap, or actually punk bands opposed to metal. Now, putting up that 45-song Iron Maiden set list up, I think any fan would be really into this. You could change it around what albums went in, but any fan would be into it. The issue is the length. Now, as with the Taylor Swift set, there was 45 songs and it came up to about 3 hours of music, which is, again, impressive. But for the Iron Maiden set, just due to the songs are simply longer, that set came up to like 4 hours and 45 minutes, which they're not doing. Honestly, the quantity of metal bands that are going to go do a set that long are almost none. The only band I know that's done a set like that is actually Manowar, who did a 40-something song set list going through almost every single song the first 6 albums and played for 5 hours and 5 minutes. This is a one-off show. They did not tour on it. They took like a week off to recover from that show, but no metal band's really doing this. The reason I say it's going to work really well for pop, rap, and actually the punk bands is simply due to the length of songs. I once saw a set list for a Dropkick Murphys show. They focused on 2 of their really early albums, and again, played like 44, 45 songs, and the set came up to like 2 hours, 2 hours in actual music, just simply due to the songs were super short. And seeing the success that it got Taylor Swift on her Eras tour, which she has an incredibly strong fan base that is going to follow her to no matter where she plays on this planet. That tour did so well for her. And I think if any other band or artist took this concept, which some are, but I think if they took this concept and worked into their lore and their music, it would work really well for them. And the next one is what I'm kind of referring to with short run big venue. Now, it's not the shortest run ever, but Metallica is kind of doing this right now on their M72 tour. What they're doing on their tour is 2 nights in each city, playing a completely different set list both nights, which awesome concept. But with that, they're taking a day off in between shows, there's a gap in between cities, and if you were to break the tour down to single cities, it's much, much smaller than their average tour. Metallica's even said the quantity of shows they're going to be doing on tour are going to start going down, but they want to make the experience as incredible as possible at massive venues. Another band that's actually taking that on for next year is My Chemical Romance. See, My Chemical Romance is going to be touring on the Long Live the Black Parade tour, and they're playing like 10, 12 shows at stadiums across North America, going into the not many shows, but all massive shows. And you can still buy tickets to these shows, like they're not all totally sold out, but they've sold well. Some of that being because the notion that they're likely to be playing the Black Parade in its entirety, but also I think this might be a little bit of a hybrid tour because there's a theory going around that they might be putting out an album called Long Live, and we're going to be hearing the Black Parade in its entirety and 1 new song every single night. That's just a theory, and that's not what this video is about, but I wanted to mention it. Along with that, we also are kind of seeing the same thing from System of a Down. Now, System of a Down has recently announced they're going to be doing a very short North American run of Chicago, Toronto, and New York City. Having Korn open for them in New York City, Avenged Sevenfold opening up for them in Chicago, and Deftones opening up for them in Toronto. There's like 3 or 4 days in between dates. I'm not 100% sure more shows are going to be announced. Frankly, I'm surprised System of a Down's doing this at all. Touring doesn't seem to be up their alley anymore. But again, they're only doing stadium shows. They're actually doing a stadium that's not even built yet in Toronto. But only stadiums and very few shows. And I say this might be something a lot of bands or artists do in the future, just simply due to if you cut out a lot of the smaller cities and just do these massive venues, but also not do that many shows, a lot of fans are going to travel to go see you just simply due to there's not many options. And they're going to be able to sell out these venues due to there's not any other options for this. And this will mean collectively at the end of the tour, said band or artist will actually make more money than had they done way more shows at smaller venues with a lower ticket price as well. I especially see a lot of the older bands doing this. As they get older and touring may not be as fun as it used to be in the past, I think doing these very few shows, but knowing it's going to be packed every single night that you're doing the show and getting a lot more money for it may be more appealing to them in the future. So that is 3 touring styles I see being very popular long-term and perhaps being the future of touring. But I want to know, what do you think? Do you agree with me that these 3 tours could be the future of touring? And is there any specific touring concepts that I missed that might be in there as well? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, subscribe, enjoy what you've seen. I tend to post a couple times a week, and I'll see you later.